For today's video, we are looking into another playwriting video, and today we are looking into the playwriter of amazing guy. I'm really glad I've researched this guy because he is one of my absolute favourites, and that is Alistair MacDowall. And before we get straight into today's video, I absolutely mean absolutely no disrespect for any thing that I say about other people's work. This is mainly for educational purposes, that I gathered information that I found on the internet and books and put it into one video. There is a few content warnings about Alistair MacDowall, which I need to address really quickly. He does involve, some of his plays does involve in drug use, prostitution, and that's the majority. That is, he uses a lot of very insensitive topics, and I just want to quickly address that up so you guys are fully aware. If you want to stop halfway through this video, that's absolutely fine. I won't be offended. Just come back when you feel ready for another playwright I'm going to use, and the next playwright I'm going to use will be less insensitive. But without further ado, let's get into Alistair MacDowall. Alistair MacDowall was grown up in Great Broughton in North Yorkshire. From all the research that I looked into Alistair MacDowall, there's hardly anything about his private life. Even his early childhood, what school he used to go to, what university he used to go to, there's quite very little information about these playwriters. However, all the information I did got up, he is one of the members of the Young Writers programme at the Royal Court. I briefly mentioned that a little bit in my previous video of that I did of Laura Wade, if you want to go check that out. She was who was just young enough to join the Royal Court, and Alistair MacDowall was young at the right age joining the Young Writers group. And that's the majority I got from him. And then he produced his first ever work, not at the Royal Court just yet, but we will get to where he produced his own work. But Alistair MacDowall didn't really get into theatre as much. Like, one piece of information that I did found, that he really got into theatre when he was at school. He's more like how I described him, a bit of a film buff when it comes to terms. Hence, he got an interest into horror and sci-fi. And then his supportives that he described, this is what he described her, his teacher, a super supportive drama teacher, encouraged him to go and read some theatre and go read some plays, read some scripts. And he caught all the influences through there, and he believed there are no boundaries into theatre, and he carried on through that legacy. He read loads of other plays, especially one that we did briefly mention, Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot. That was a classic play, and I've always been a big classic. If you don't know what Waiting for Godot is, have a look on the Sir Ian McKellen version of the Waiting for Godot. And the other versions, I think Roland Atkinson did it. I know Steve Martin did it, and I definitely know, I think Roland Atkinson did it. I think so. I'm really unsure. I'm not going to mention it anyway. And also another playwright that we will look into, and I will put so many content warnings on it because her plays are very brutal, and that is Sarah Kane. I'm doing all the brutal playwriters in December, so you will see a lot more about Sarah Kane. I even done a dissertation on her, so yeah. But this is a quote that I found that he did mention about his about drama in total, and his views on theatre after he got recommended of reading a ton of plays, and that's how he got really into playwriting. There were endless possibilities on stage, and the imagination could never be tampered or subdued in theatre. It means that he actually means that there is no limits. There's so many possibilities that you can make through theatre. You can make everything that is unlimited. Like in a black box studio, there's so many unlimited opportunities that you could create that space, that little tiny little space, and turn it into a big production. Bit of the wow factor. I have seen a lot of really good studio space theatre productions, and I consider that as a really good format in theatre. My phone gave out a notification. Don't know that person, really know that person, and I'm putting it down. I thought what he said about his teacher was so warm and so loving and so caring, because he got that amazing boost, and he's got that unique idea, that unique style of writing, which is so out of this world. We will get into how he does his method, because his methods are amazing, absolutely amazing. Like, again, I don't hear so much of where he went to school, where he went to university, but I do know more about his working life. He actually worked in a gallery, as telling people not to touch this or not to touch that, and also he normally guides them, and he loved it. He absolutely enjoyed it. He absolutely enjoyed telling people what to do, having that dominance as a tour guide. A lot of tour guides do have that level of dominance that they have. And I'm not saying that Alistair MacDowall loves the dominance or anything else, but he does like telling people what to do. And I agree with, when you do art galleries, you got to make sure that you will not tell people to touch this and touch that, because it might be delicate. But while he was working as a gallery, a tour guide into this art gallery, he was actually writing his play, and still in the young writers group in the Royal Court, and he got his first play performed here, and this is where we get to his work. This is my exciting part. I actually said it without looking at my notepad. How brilliant is that? I really do love Alistair MacDowall. I'm kind of a big mega fan of him. So this is his work. His first ever play he wrote, called Brilliant Adventures, in 2013 at Manchester Royal Exchange. I know very little about the Royal Exchange, but they do have very good plays. And when I mean very good plays, I mean good plays that are being performed by new writers. It's another place like the Royal Court, where you have new playwrights coming in and coming out. I really little know about Playwrights Horizon in America, and so I'm not going to mention that. I still haven't researched that bit, but I will get to for the next video, which will be another British female playwright, and she's my favourite. I even got a play upstairs in my room. So let's crack on with Brilliant Adventures. The play focuses on a 19-year-old Luke, and he is a science genius. Like, he's a science nerd, but he's also a genius. In the play, he actually been focusing on working out this box that he found moulding to the living room in this a council house estate that him and his brother both shared. And then his brother brought back, he was described as an out-of-towner, which, I mean, he's an outsider of this town they're living in. He's very wealthy. However, it is damaging towards the brothers' relationship, because the brothers are so much loving each other. They love the company and they love everything, and they don't want to separate their love because of this guy coming in saying, I'm taking over your friendship, it's ridiculous, how could be a brother be best friends with a brother? If that was him in real life, I would have smacked him. I'm joking, I would not. I'm not that confrontational. But the box that Luke was working on was actually an invention that takes the play into a whole new direction, and it continues from there. This play is very exciting, but it also explores the dynamic relationship between brothers, and the way that Alistair MacDowall did it in the most exciting way of using adventure stories into the play, and I think it just looks so exciting. The themes are brother and invention, and the genre is science fiction and drama. Then we get to this second play, which I found, again, exciting to look into. When I was looking into and researching it, I thought, oh my god, this looks absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I wish I could have gone and see it. It was in 2013, y'all. I should have known about it, you know? Should have known about the Royal Court. But actually, this looks absolutely amazing. And if it's being performed again by another theatre company, please let me be there. The story sounds interesting. And the play is called Talk Show in 2013, and it's the first play to be performed at the Royal Court, but in Jurwood downstairs. Now what I heard about the Royal Court, they have different stages. I think they have three or just two. The one is the main auditorium, the main big plays by current playwrights who've done their work before and do all their work there. Some of them who are quite new actually perform, if their play is big enough for the stage. It always depends on the volume of the staging. That's how it works. But when you go to the downstairs, that's where normally the new playwrights go to. They normally go to downstairs, but sometimes they always, they want to produce their first play, they go to the sometimes go to the auditorium. But I don't know very little of how it works. But this play sets in the downstairs. I don't know if it's an upstairs, I don't know, but I will look into it and I'll let you know. The play focuses on a character called Sam, who runs his daily show in the downstairs basement. So he's got this unique style. I think this is like a play within a play. I haven't read it, but I want to read it. And it's like a play within a play that focuses on this guy who does his daily show, and then it transfers into where his dad and his grandfather barely talk to each other or barely speak into the same room. So they use the baby monitor as a way of using dialogue, way of talking, until Sam's uncle returns, and the whole thing has became upside down, and the communication is interrupted. This is another exciting play and another form of writing that Alistair MacDowall never really often does. But when I mean never really often does, this is what, from all the current things that he has worked on. He worked on multiple plays and multiple plays in different styles and different forms. The next one will be, you know my point. But it does look really good, and using a baby monitor as the part of the narrative, that is sound really interesting. I love how the different styles of playwriting that playwrights use, like with narrative. If we go back to Laura Wade's Breathing Corpses, she uses a lot more of using the bodies to tell the story. And it just sounds really interesting that they use the baby monitor for a form of communication. The themes are family drama, and the genre is dark comedy, because it is also funny. It's same like Annie Baker. She used dark comedy to keep the audience warm up and really warmed up and watching the plays. Alistair MacDowall did the exact same thing, just making it more funnier. And then we get to another play in 2013 that he also commissioned, but it was in Newcastle, and that is called Captain Amazing in 2013 at the Live Theatre. This is a new theatre that is, I think it's host for new playwrights. I really do not know, but like again, I will probably prompt that when I get to another playwright. But this one is fairly different. Like again, I tell you this is like a format that Alistair MacDowall loves to play around with. He plays around with this play especially of a one-man show, and this is a very short one, about a superhero. This is sound interesting, like using a superhero into a play. I don't think it's ever been done before. That's why I sound really excited, because it's never been done before. This play it explores through the let me get to this point. There is a movie called Mystery Men, and with Greg Kilmer, great actor, love him to bits, hope to meet him one day. Greg Kilmer played another character called Captain Amazing in the Mystery Men. Please don't if you know that movie very well, this play is opposite to that. Really totally opposite. He might have got influence on that. I did try and look for the information that if he had been influenced by him, but no, he has not. He has not been influenced as so far as it speaks. I'm judging on the research that I committed for. This play focused on a superhero who has struggles with his family while he was saving others. So basically this superhero is gone through saving families from burning buildings, from natural disasters and everything else. And then he has a daughter at the same time. And then it became all fun and games, but it came quite sad. It became all quite sad. Like, I can understand like superheroes have, you know, a hero's guilt. And this hero's guilt has been carried it on. Like, sometimes you wish you can save absolutely everybody and everything else. And he has, and through that guilt, he could have saved his own family. And I felt like it's a really great message of what Alistair MacDowall says. The themes are superheroes and parenthood and the struggles of fatherhood. And then the genre is comedy drama. I would definitely say it's a comedy. It started light and it ends with a tragedy. And then we get to my absolute favourite play that I read, and I will tell you why in a split second. You know what I mentioned, he has a unique way of writing and telling a story? This is the play, and this is called Panaman, 2014, and first played at the Orange Tree Theatre. Now, before I will get into this play, I will send some content warnings. This will contain with prostitution, drug use. So if you're not ready to hear that, just skip ahead to the next play I'm going to be talking about, and then yeah, okay. But if you're ready to continue, for anyone who's say yeah, go ahead, I'll just go ahead anyway. I first read this play. MacDowall uses the most interesting method. I will get to that. I keep saying that. Just to annoy you guys. It's funny. The story focuses on Ollie, who is in the search for her sister, and then she ends up looking in a concrete island called Panama. Panama is an actual fictional island. It is set in a dystopian world, but the island is a tough island. It is full of the most unbelievable people that you see known to man. In the play, in that island, it focused with drug dealers. In my notes I said drug lords, but I would say drug dealers. There's a lot of prostitution in that island, and a lot of drug addicts living in that island. There's a really funny duo in there that made me laugh so hard, because I think they're great. I think they're a great duo. In this insane new world that has been created by MacDowall is absolutely incredible. It's an incredible world building that he kindly structured. And I looked in the production photos. There's not pretty much, but it's worth it. It's focused more on the dialogue that I feel Alistair MacDowall, for this play, he wants the dialogue to be emphasis more, not the set. The set is not important for him. Now, I'm excited. I'm going to tell you what's this method he uses. If you don't know this game chord, it is called there's a game called D&D, kind of refers to Dungeons and Dragons. From my knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons, I never played it, but I'm going to. But unfortunately, I need to find a group of people to go and play it with. But I want to play it so badly. So basically, this is how it goes. You get given a character. It's actually great for actors. So if you're an actor like me or a playwright like me, this game is specially for you. It is focused on more of the performance. You get given a character and a trait and also all these sorts of information. You play as the character. Some people go over the top with this character and just sit down and actually be in character and do a little bit of improv in there. But actually, it is actually, I say actually quite a lot. It's basically like that. And then when you say you need to roll a dice with that, you need to roll that. And then you get given a story narrative and say, such and such is looking over the river, this such and such trying to bargain, this such and such is trying to fight. So it's your job to roll the dice, and if it hits the number, you take it where the narrative actually guides you to. And that's how it plays. With Alistair MacDowall's intake for Polymine, Polymath 9, he did it quite differently. Instead of this other these are the two characters who are like the comedy duo type characters. They were playing Dungeons and Dragons, and when they rolled the dice, they imagine in the head, if you rolled this dice, Ollie will go to this place, and Ollie will go to that. If you rolled this dice, she's going to discover a truth that she will not be known before. That whole narrative and whole structure, just the use of Dungeons and Dragons is just, I was speechless after reading that. That was absolutely incredible, and I really loved that narrative. It's just perfect. Alistair MacDowall, you are a genius for writing that. You really are a genius, and you are amazing, and I wish to actually meet you someday. The themes are prostitution, drugs, and D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and the genre is dystopia drama. So, and then we get to our next play. How many plays have we got here? We only got 2 more to go. This is kind of like the shortest, but I made it longer because I'm amazing. I'm joking. So this next play is very simple, called X. You have seen this in the previous video, and I'm going to tell you again. It's called X in 2016 at the Royal Court Theatre in London. Now, this play, I have started reading it, but I had to take it back because it was rented in the library. But I have got a copy on my phone, and I hopefully when all my uni work is done, I get a chance to read it all out loud. The play is completely different than any other play that I have actually came across into. It's actually more I'll tell you the whole story, and then I'll give you my view on. The story focuses on a research base on Pluto, the planet. Pluto, the planet. I have to say that, or when people say Pluto, they were like, "Oh, is it a different part of the world?" It's they lost signal, and they have been waiting for a very long time, and then there are dangers that are ahead with this research group. This play is absolutely amazing. When I first read it, it has some really great complex characters. There was like with this term X being symbolized, I don't know really what the X stands for, but I tell you the most amazing part about this play is the style, the genre. I don't think sci-fi has ever been across in theatre. I know it would be amazing to see sci-fi being performed that way. Like if it's a Shakespeare adaptation of Macbeth being performed in a spaceship, that would be interesting. That would be absolutely amazing. And I feel that this play really shows that. So the themes is space, Pluto, and isolation. And the genre is science fiction and drama. Then we get to, not his last ever play, there's another play he has done. But I'm not going to review that play because I think it's performing at the Royal Court right now. So I don't want to give out too much of the research, only giving the ones that have been released. So this last play that he has done so far, via from my research, is fuck off, Snapchat. It is The Glow in 2022 at the Royal Court. This play was meant to perform at 2020, and then COVID lockdown happened. And then that play was postponed until 2022. And this play is so interesting to actually read, because he has written 2 plays during the pandemic. I think he wrote 1 play during the pandemic, and he wrote a play called All of It. It's called All of It, and I think it's a new play, but I don't want to start getting into detail with that, so because it's not released in a hardcover, so I'm gonna leave it as that. This play centers on women, on a woman who was in a windowless cell in an asylum. She lost all of her memories. She couldn't even think what to say or anything else, and because she has no memory, and she was in this asylum which has no window, no nothing, and she felt completely isolated until a spiritist medium, Mrs. Lan, needed a new assistant, and she picked this woman to be her psychic, and then the memories were coming back, like they were coming back through this woman, and then she suddenly discovered memories that she never experienced before, and that's how the play goes through. This this play is quite exciting to read. I never read it, but I want to. This play seems very interesting and a very brave intake in mental health and insane asylums. You got to be so careful when you're taking into an impact within plays that results in mental health, because if you think about mental health for one second, you have to be so careful. Like sometimes when I write plays, I have to be so careful with the content I use, because if I use a play about suicide, I have to really dig deep and really understand it and all sorts. Or if I have to write a play about insane asylums, you have to get the research right. And I feel like he was so brave writing this style of writing, and it's really, really incredible to look into. The themes are spirituality and mental health, and the genre is drama, and that is end of all of his work so far. Not all of his work, because he still writes today. Really good writing, and I really want to go and see him. And now I'm going to talk to you about his method. Without a shadow of a doubt, Alistair MacDowall is a very interesting playwright, because the details of his methods that he uses in theatre are all come from his interest in pop culture. Like science fiction, he really broke the boundaries with theatre and provide a point that theatre does not have boundaries. I never thought theatre had boundaries anyway. When I started doing playwriting, I know it's freedom to do whatever you got to do, but I still believe that a little bit of help from current playwrights or academics is so important. Like when I do write my stuff, I don't just like go through my gut instinct and say, I'll send this play across. I have to get other people to read it first. Like I'm doing an adaptation of The Invisible Man by H.G. Wells. I looked into it, and it's in public domain, so there's no rights for it or anything else. But you got to be really careful. Don't need to write a play. Sorry, that was the biggest yawn I ever did. Sorry, I was up all day, so yeah, so I always say I have to get people to read my plays. One interesting thing that I did mention is that interesting method of using a board game like D&D that he used in Polonine. It's so interesting how Alistair MacDowall uses that and turn it into a narrative, a structure and a storytelling. Honestly, go read that play and comment down below if you read it, or if you're lucky enough to see it live. Let me know in the comments down below, because that play alone is absolutely amazing. Ow, my eyes, because I looked at my ring, which is used as my light box. But it is so interesting that Alistair MacDowall still writes these interesting style of methods that came out through his experience and everything. He's a really great playwright. I really hope to meet him one day and get him to read my plays and say to him, Alistair MacDowall, can you read my plays and see if you can give me pointers? Because I do write plays, you know. I write plays not for uni purposes. I write theatre for my own game for after next year. So it's all that. And Alistair MacDowall's interest in sci-fi and fantasy and horror just brought a new level in theatre that we've been waiting for such a long time. And I think it's so important to admire who bring us into this world of playwriting. And that is it for the information that I have got down on Alistair MacDowall. My ink ran out, so yeah. A few more changes. I am doing another playwright. It's going to be a woman who's a British playwright. She was meant to be in my essay that I did for first year in MA. But I changed it to another playwright that we will look into. She's absolutely incredible. And we will get into more to come. At the moment, I'm just settling down with my uni work and making sure I got everything ready and it's all put in exactly how I want it to perform. I only got 2 more weeks left, and then you got me for the whole entire time on YouTube. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Please comment down below if there's any other playwrights that you want to see of me doing these these readings, because I can actually research anything. Like if there's a style of theatre you want me to look into, I can look into that for you, and all sorts. I did wrote down, find an abstract. What I can do for my next playwright guide to playwriters is read some abstracts from these certain plays, but I'm going to get started on another playwriter, and I will release that for next week. All I'm going to say is happy Friday, have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay in tune. Bye!